A song for the ascents. Shall I lift up my eyes to the hills to see from where my help will come? Let my help come from God, who shapes heaven and earth. May he not permit your foot to waver. May your keeper not slumber. Behold, the keeper of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. If God is your keeper, if God is your shade at your right hand, the sun will not harm you by day, and there will be a moon at night. God will keep you from all evil. He will keep your soul. God will preserve your going out and your homecoming from this time forth and for all the future.
A Psalm of David. God, who shall sojourn in your tabernacle? Who shall dwell upon the mountain of your sanctuary? He who walks in moral integrity and practices righteousness and speaks the truth with his heart. He who has borne no slander upon his tongue, nor done evil to his fellow, nor tolerated an aspiration cast upon his neighbor, in whose eyes that which is blameworthy is despised, and he honors those who fear God. He has sworn this once to evil and does not change his vow. He who has not put out his money for usury, nor has taken a bribe against an innocent man, he who so acts by these principles will not waver forever.
A prayer of Moshe, the man of God. Oh, my master, you are the bearer of the fleeting moments. You have been with us in every generation. Before the mountains were brought forth, you caused earth and the world of men to go into labor. And from all the past and all the future, you are the one, all-moving power. You cause a moral man to sink back until he is crushed when you said, "Return, O sons of man, for 1,000 years in your eyes are as but a yesterday. When it is passing indeed, they are a watch in the night. You let them flow away, sleep they become, but in the morning it renews its vigor fresh as grass. In the morning will grow, all will grow and gain new vigor. That which turned toward evening, the latter will cut down and it withers. For we perished by your anger, and we were dismayed because of your wrath. You have set our perverse acts before you, the dormant core within us before the light of your countenance. For all our days passed away because of your stepping forth. We ended our years like an unspoken thought. Because of them, the days of our years were 70, and when by reason of effort, they were 80 years. Their pride was travail and violence. For the swiftness cut off, and we flew away. But who knows the irresistible aim of your anger, and that you will step forth only according to the fear due you. So teach us to number our days, then we shall bring some heart of wisdom. Return, O God, to what end? Relent concerning your servants. Satisfy us with your loving kindness in the morning, then we shall exult, and we will be glad all our days. Make us glad according to the days when you afflicted us, according to the years when you saw trouble. Let your word become evident to your servants, and your glory upon their children. My bliss, my master, our God, come to us. Establish us the work of your hands, and the work of our hands establish it.
By David, a psalm. The earth is God's, and the fullness thereof, the world of men, and they that dwell therein. For he has founded it upon the seas, and guided it, constantly establishes it upon the rivers. Who shall ascend to the mountain of God, and who shall stand in the place of his sanctuary? He that is clean of hands and pure of heart, who has not lifted up his soul, which is mine, unto vanity, and has not sworn deceitfully. He shall receive a blessing from God, and kindness from the God of his salvation. This is the generation of them that seek him, those that seek your face, O Yaakov.
Though my flesh and my heart may fail, God is the rock of my heart and my portion forever.
Even as a father has compassion upon his children, so God had compassion upon those that feared him. For he had known our nature. It was unforgettable for him that we were dust. As for the earthly man, his days are as grass. He sprouts like a sprout of the field. If a wind passes over it, it is no more, and its sight knows it no more. But the loving kindness of God remains from all the past through all the future upon those that fear him, and his merciful, his just sovereignty unto children's children.
Please refer to the insert in your order of service for the group singing of Psalm 23.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restoreth my soul. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever, forever. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restoreth my soul. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. And surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever, 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 forever. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Only he restoreth my soul.
There's a cultural cliche. There are always two kinds of people in the world. And so if we apply that, there are mountain people and there are beach people. And some of those people say, well, if I had a vacation, I'd go to the mountains. Or if I had a vacation, I'd go to the beach. When I retire, I'm going to stay on the beach. I'm going to stay in the mountains. And even if you're not a beach person, we can appreciate the ocean waves crashing upon the rocks and the constant wind coming off the water, the shrill cry of seagulls. And perhaps we felt that salt water racing around our bare feet as we walk on top of the sand, our head down looking for that uncovered treasure. And if Crystal Beach on Bolivar Peninsula is a short ride from Galveston Island across from the Houston Ship Channel, and that's where I spent many of my summers. And there's usually wind coming off the Gulf of Mexico, helping the waves come in. It sounds like 1,000 snare drums. Some waves are larger than others, with more power, more intensity, even more water if that's possible. Now flags may be posted too. Green flag means calm. Yellow, normal conditions, be safe. Red flag, strong current. Large surf, strong undercurrent. Red flag is a don't venture above waist deep if you have a red flag. Purple flag is a warning of jellyfish, Portuguese man-o-war, stingray, and other marine life. So when you get to the beach, you check the water, you check the flags, because you want to be safe. Grief and sorrow are like a trip to the beach, a place we don't visit often, with a constant roar of emotion, with waves of weeping, lament, sorrow, and intense sadness. And yes, some of those waves are larger than others. Some are more powerful, more intense, and some waves seem to last forever. And you don't have the luxury of checking the flags beforehand. Rather, at the end of the day, you look back and say, today was a green day. It was calm, or it was a yellow day, or even a purple day with devastating thoughts and sad, stinging memories. If you're ever at Crystal Beach, take note that just past the breaking waves, there's an open patch of calm water. Shallower, calm sea, shallow waves. But once you get there, you can rest because you've made it through the breakers. But just farther out is a sandbar under the water, which allows the waves to break, kind of like another beach in deeper water. Our grief and sorrow are very strong right now. You've just arrived on this beach, and it can be intense. But as time passes, you'll be able to move into the calmer water. You will have less and less purple days, but watch out for that second line of breakers. Weeks, months, or years from now, you may find another day when the jellyfish and the stingrays poison your thoughts, sting your memory. It might be the fleeting glimpse of someone that looked like her, sounded like mom, a song that releases an emotion, or a sunset you wish you could share. Let me tell you a story. Years ago, an evangelistic group made a tract, if you will, and it was a little witnessing card, and it looked like the MasterCard some of you may remember with the two big circles. Inscribed on the front says, give the master charge of your life. And from a distance, it looked just like a credit card. On the back, there were scriptures and a challenge to receive Messiah and commit your life to Him. We had several of those back in the day, and some at my grandparents' house. On December 14th, 1980, my dad's dad died. He and my grandmother had been married for 45 years. And a few nights after he died, my grandmother had a very strong dream, so strong she thought it was real. She said she was in her bedroom, woke up in the middle of the night, and suddenly my granddaddy was standing in the room with her. She called him, Bill, are you okay? What are you doing? He replied, I'm okay. I'm going to take a trip. She asked, how will you survive? He said, I'll use the master charge. During our last conversation, I asked Sherry, I said, what do you want? And she said, I want to live to see the fruit of my life. And the fruit of her life is here today, finding comfort in knowing that the Master is still in charge. All our prayers have been answered, perhaps not in the way we wanted, but answered nevertheless. Our sovereign, holy God continues to show Himself as our protector, our healer, our fortress, and our comfort. His perfect plan unfolds before us in magnificent and mysterious ways. At the end of our day, we may reflect and say it was a green day or it was a purple day. When He reflects, He says it was a perfect day. May we all align ourselves with His thoughts, His heart, and His plans. Rick?
I hope you don't mind. I'm going to have to read. I'm Rick. I'm Sherry's younger brother. Sherry was a middle kid. Actually, with 4 children in a family, there's 2 middle kids, so let me rephrase that, because I was a middle kid too. Sherry was the center kid. Our family had the older kids and the younger kids. Sherry was the second born, but she was the one who protected the younger kids from the oldest. And she was
he's not here at the moment.
And she was the one that protected the oldest from getting into worse trouble. Sherry was the center. In the 19th century warfare, you put the strongest, most dependable, most loyal troops at the center of the line. While the cavalry and the reserve troops might be called to achieve victory, it was the center that had to hold the line in order to win the day. The center must be steady, strong, dependable, resilient, and fiercely loyal. The center will be called to rally the rest. The center must hold the line. Sherry was the center. In our common language, the center is where we go for wisdom. Not to the extreme, not to the edges, We look for what we call the heart of the matter to gain wisdom. Sherry was the source of such wisdom. Throughout her life, countless people would experience how truly wise Sherry was. She was a source of steady wisdom to many. Sherry was the center. Although she was not a big person, she had a steady and dependable strength. In the midst of chaos, she was always steady and strong. She never lost her head. I remember once when she was probably 11, my older brother Bob was 12. The four of us were home alone. Bob broke a window, as he was known to do, in an attempt to roll something off the roof of the house. Sherry calmly came up with the plan to clean up the mess and to be the first to explain what happened to Mom and Dad when they got home, thus saving Bob from a worse fate. Sherry was the center. My earliest memory of Sherry was when Sandra was born. I was 3 and she was 6. I can remember it vividly. Dad came to pick us up. We were at Grandma Clingan's house, where we had been sequestered, I think, with measles. It was dark, the moon was out, it was cold, and there was snow on the ground. Sherry led me to the car, and that's my first memory, probably holding my hand. That was Sherry. We all that know her know that she was that gentle guide, a loyal and fierce protector. Sherry was the center. She was hospitable. No one could possibly mention Sherry without using the word hospitable. She welcomed so many into her home and into her heart. She was truly a daughter of Sarah and named a daughter Sarah. Sherry was the first, or granddaughter Sarah. Sherry was the first to welcome Janet into the family and to give a hearty approval. All who knew her true kindness, but more than kindness, they knew chesed. Sherry exuded it. Sherry was the center, and at the center of Sherry was chesed. Sherry was a pure vessel for kindness, the chesed of God to be acted out in the world. We have truly lost something important. We have lost our center. When in battle the center collapses, the only hope is for the flanks and the reserves to close in on either side, to close the ranks and to hold the center. Will the line collapse? Will there be no strength left? We who are left must take up the standard and close the ranks. We who are left must take up Sherry's mantle of wisdom, strength, loyalty, hospitality, and yes, Sherry's kindness. We must now be the center. On a hillside 40 years ago in July in Congo, some of you were there. Sherry experienced the loss of our father. And she took that challenge to close ranks, to be an instrument of chesed in the world. Well done, good and faithful servant. Enter now into the joy of your rest. O death, where is your sting? O death, where is your victory? But we have victory through Messiah.
Please refer to your insert again for a group singing of Be Thou My Vision.
Be thou my vision, O Lord of my heart, not be all else to me, save that thou art. Thou my best thought by day or by night, waking or sleeping, thy presence my light. Be thou my wisdom, and thou my true word. I ever and thou with me, Lord. Thou my great Father, and I thy true Son. Thou in me dwelling, and I with thee one. Be thou my battle shield, sword for the fight. Be thou my dignity, thou my delight. Thou my soul shelter, thou my high tower. Raise thou me heavenward, O power of my power. Riches I heed not, nor man's empty praise. Thou mine inheritance now and always. Thou and thou only first in my heart. High King of heaven, my treasure thou art. High King of heaven, my victory won. May I reach heaven's joys, O bright heaven's sun. Heart of my own heart, whatever befall, still be my vision, O ruler of all.
There may be several delay tactics that are required. Please don't feel this is so releasing to see you all here. Each one is so special, and to see your faces and to know that you were affected by, influenced by my Sherry. This simple wooden box, was made by a dear friend that was one of the first people that I told that there was a possibility. You know, when you're fighting for life and you always want to think the best, and Sherry always thought the best, and she always thought, what's the next step? It was the way she approached for me. I've had a few challenges physically, and her approach was always, you know, what's the next thing? And let's step in that direction. Let's take a strong step. And so to make the transition and to actually admit to somebody that there was a time coming, and I didn't even have to ask him because he knew what I wanted. And there's some pieces of wood from this simple box that are going to be a part of my little box when it's my time. And right over there is a place where Sherry's going to be, or her body is going to be. And someday my body's going to be there. But it's just our bodies. Because this simple box holds the body that was the container for the soul that's more alive now than she was when she was with us. Well, she's still with us, but I mean, when she was still attached to her physical body. And you know, I was so proud of my daughters, my 4 daughters, who counted it a privilege to take and prepare that body that had been ravaged by disease and to make it and to dress it something beautiful. And to be prepared for the beautiful reunion that will come when her body is resurrected. May that day be soon for all of us. And you know, this pine box reminds me as well, as Rick talked about 40 years ago, next week, is it? 40 years ago, there was a simple pine box that that a saint, in many ways, was buried, who gave his life for people and emulated his Messiah. And Sherry gave her life in a different way. She gave her life while she was living to so many other people. And Rick started talking about how, Sherry's life as the center of the Spurlock kids clan. And I so appreciate his characterization of her as being loyal. Because she was loyal. And I knew that. I knew that when I married her. And it was hard to break into that loyalty. And I have to tell a story. You know, our kids are gonna, I'm sure our kids, I haven't heard what they're gonna say, but, you know, I'm sure they're gonna talk about days growing up or remembrances or whatever. But, you know, there was a time that they can't remember because they weren't around. So I can definitively say a few things about that. And when you refer to a couple, and I don't have the answer to this yet, to tell you the truth. Maybe somebody could enlighten me at some point, but for 44 years, it's always been Dale and Sherry, or Sherry and Dale. Kind of depends on, you know, who you were the best friend with, or who you identified with, or whatever. But I have to tell you a situation where that was no greater evidence that many times it was Sherry and Dale. And I'm sitting here at the head of this casket, of this pine box, because a lot of times it was Dale and Sherry. But when we were in Africa, and our role was to be a support for the mission community that was there, and her dad and mom lived in Zaire in Central Africa, and we lived in Nairobi, Kenya, which was the economic hub of East Africa, and our role was to come to think of it, this is a great job, because we got to buy things with other people's money. It's kind of like the government in some way. But we purchased supplies for the missionaries and for the hospitals, and then her dad would fly a 4-hour flight from Zaire, would fly into the airport, and we would load the plane. We would check stuff through customs. We would load the plane. We would give him a Fanta or a Coke. Was it Coke or Pepsi? Coca-Cola. And then get him on his way, because it was really important that he get back to Zaire before the afternoon rainforest thunderstorms came in, and it wasn't possible to fly. So there was a limited time frame. He'd leave early in the morning. He'd get to Nairobi about 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning, and then he had to get right back before the clouds came in. So one day we were, everything was going well, and as happens many times in the third world, there was a customs official. His name was Francis, and Francis was in his office, and he decided that day that he was going to delay this shipment, most likely for a bribe, which we were not going to pay. And loyal Sherry, knowing that her dad needed to get back, was patient for a period of time. And then she marched into that office, and I don't know what was said. But within minutes, we got the approval. He took off and went back. And from that day on, I was no longer known in that office as Dale, but I was known as Sherry's husband. And so for them, it was always Sherry and Dale. I have Sherry's journal, one of her journals, and I'm looking forward to, you can talk to people, and even a husband and wife can talk about things, but there's some things that I think, I'm sure, are written in here that are going to be very cathartic in the future, because I'm going to hear her voice again. And I just wanted to say there's something that on a daily basis, as I'm using the Koran Siddur to do my morning prayers, and there were two things that seemed to always stuck out to me. One is her her teaching method, and many of you have experienced this, her children especially experienced this, but Sherry was a teacher always. She verbalized, she was a voracious reader. And as she read, she processed things by telling people what she was reading and finding ways that it would help them in the things that they were doing. And it was amazing how many times what she was reading was specifically made for a person or a time or a place. And when I read in the morning prayers where it says, "Please, Lord our God, make the words of your Torah sweet in our mouths and in the mouths of your people, the house of Israel." She had a way of making what could be stale, what could be just rote, into something that connected with life. And I'm very thankful for that. And then there's a little section, and I end with this because when we first got the news that she had cancer back in September, actually, this little passage from the sages struck me, and I said, it struck me as being the essence of who Sherry is, of who her soul is. And it's a list. This is a list of things. And she has fulfilled during her short life all of these things. These are the things whose fruits we eat in this world. It was a gym that couldn't, oh, here they are. I forget where they are. These are the things whose fruits we eat in this world, but whose full reward awaits us in the world to come. And here's the list. Honoring parents, acts of kindness, arriving early at the house of study morning and evening, hospitality to strangers, visiting the sick, helping the needy bride, attending to the dead, devotion in prayer, and bringing peace between people. But the study of Torah is equal to them all. God's word was what she lived for, what she strove to connect it with her, to connect her soul and her body by doing things in her body that would benefit her soul and the souls of others. And so, my dear Sherry, I love you, as I've told you so many times. And we'll be back together not long. Thank you, everybody, for coming. It is so special to have each and every one of you here.
My brother-in-law, Sonny, asked a question of Mom a few weeks ago. And what you're about to hear is kind of how she was processing things and some words of encouragement and strength. So.
From where do I draw my strength and resolve to continue? First and probably most primary is the fact that I truly believe with the bottom of my heart, from the bottom of my heart, that everything has a purpose, that in everything there is purpose. And honestly, if I didn't believe that, I would take my own life, because there's no reason to suffer. There's no reason to continue life's course if it's all random and happenstance and coincidence. So I believe very, very strongly that everything has a purpose. And so I always try to look for purpose in everything, whether it's a good thing or a apparent bad thing. I've had the sense in the back of my mind that this is temporary, and that we're gonna get through it, and it's gonna be a memory and some way that will enhance my life and the life of those that it also touched. Now this stage is kicked in where there's absolute suffering. Now I go back and I second guess that part of my premonition. And it came down to just the other day, I said, as I was praying, it's like, God, actually it was the portion where God came to Moses and said, look what your children have done. And Moses said, oh, no. If you're going to do this to me, put this all on my shoulders, then just kill me now. And that's kind of what I said. God, if this ends up just in complete loss, just kill me now. And I had to say, well, God, you are my ultimate salvation. I've done everything that I know to do. I've given every ounce of energy that I have, every bit of physical effort that I have. And the rest is up to you. And so I had to surrender, I guess, to the hands of heaven, knowing that there is a purpose, and truly believing that there is a purpose in every little detail. So a God who knows every star by name, in other words, every star's purpose, makeup, place, track, everything. Billions and trillions of unknown stars. He knows them all by name. Does he not know every detail of my life? And so I do find, I don't know if comfort is the right word for that, but I do find a sense of strength from that, or just the ability to endure. My prayer every day is that I live to see all of my children and grandchildren walking and living in the love of God. That's my heart's prayer every day. And so that gives me hope to carry on. It gives me desire to give everything that I have.
I feel the love, I feel the support, and I know Dad does too. And it means just the world.
I just want you to know how much I love you, and look forward to many more opportunities to live together, to share together, play together, work together. And however it ends, I know that in my heart I have resolved to live in the will of God, whatever that is, and to take what he has, because I know there's a purpose in every single thing. And again, my prayer is every day that I would live to see my children and grandchildren all walking in the love of God. All right, love you guys again, and take care. Talk to you later. Bye. You've done a good job, and I'm so, so proud of you.
So much more to say. I just don't know what to say. My heart's full, and just know that how much I love you, okay?
Talk to you later. Bye.
That was a strong wave. I think some of the kids are going to share, and I don't know who's first. Are you first? Okay, come on up.
I loved Grandma really much, and once I heard she died, I just could not take it. I loved her very much, and I loved her when she gave me a hug once, and when I I always loved her. Every day I pray, please make her get better. Amen.
Good job. That was good. Good job. Who's next?
Jamie.
Jamie?
Mom, you embodied every quality of being a mother that I ever strived to become. How are you so patient all the time? What would I do if I found my 6- and 8-year-old girls sneaking out of the house in the middle of the night, and when discovered, revealed that they had plans of surprising everyone by setting the tables at Camp's dining hall? Would I scold them for going out of the house alone in the middle of the night? Or affirm their good intentions, but kindly explain why there was another way that we could be of help during the day? Instead of shooing me off to bed, you spent time on the edge of my bed in the dark next to me before I went to sleep, talking to me and listening, because you knew just what to say to get me talking. Thank you for teaching me from a very young age that having good character is the most important aim. Whenever I need to remember to have some patience, to get up and plan my goals rather than feeling victim to whatever befalls me. Whenever I need the courage to step out of my comfort zone for the betterment of me or others, or the courage to face something I'd rather pretend doesn't exist, I will always hear your sweet and gentle voice guiding me. You always sympathized with me, then found just the right words I needed to hear to encourage and motivate me. Thank you, Mom, for being the encourager and nurturer of my soul.
Mom, my absolute favorite times with you were on Shabbat afternoons when we would go to our special place on the trampoline and talk. We sweat together in the summertime, and in the wintertime we brought blankets and snuggled to stay warm. We would talk about our week, about the things that we were proud of and the things that we weren't. We talked about the things that we learned and the things that we wanted to learn. I talked about the things that were hard for me in my life, and you always knew what to say. You shared so much wisdom with me in those hours, and you gave me the best guidance. You would start by affirming my struggles and show the hurt and stuck parts of my soul tenderness, and then you would speak to my potential. You would help me to craft a vision for a way forward by reminding me of all the good qualities that I had in me that made me just the right person for any particular challenge. You always made me feel like it was my destiny to overcome, and that everything in my life was meant to help me to grow into the best me. In your copy of the Her Psalms, you wrote on the inside cover a short list of your goals in life, and among them you put that you wanted to speak health, happiness, and success to every person that you met, and that you wanted to make each member of your family feel their own strength. Well done, Mom. You're the best person at that. For all the life that you spoke into me, for the potential that you helped me to see, and for the knowledge that it's never too late to take the first step back on track. Thank you, Mom. I love you so much. You were our home. After making a home in so many places around the world, you built a log cabin with Dad and filled it with furniture and cabinets and shelves, which you made, and curtains you sewed. And speaking of sewed, the matching dresses and bathing suits of different sizes for us girls, dolls, doll clothes, and a pair of shorts for Jeremy, which he only wore once because homemade shorts is taking it a little too far. You started your day in that house early. The first thing we would see when we came down the stairs was you, sitting on the blue couch with your Bible open, so often your Psalms, and a book of names of all the people you were praying for. You went through stages of making us set alarm clocks to get up early and read Psalms together, but in the end, I think you treasured that time alone with God, because when we slacked off, you didn't push very hard. Early mornings with sunrise and birdsong has always been your special time. When we were young, we just assumed it was standard for all mothers to feed their kids fresh baked bread and honey butter on no particularly special day, to run organic food co-ops out of their driveways, to have a pantry stocked with tinctures and supplements for nearly every ailment known to mankind, to hear kids whispering for her in the middle of the night, even though her room was not even on the same floor as ours. We assumed it was standard that mothers never yelled, that they thought nothing of driving through the night on coast-to-coast road trips, that they filled spare bedrooms with people who needed her to be their mom for a while too. We didn't know how angelic you were among mothers. We literally fell asleep to the sound of you playing the harp in the evening. It was only once I got a little older and became aware that this wasn't exactly your standard mom material that I became incurably proud of mine. Proud of the way that my friends were her friends, that they were drawn to her playfulness and curiosity and warmth, and sought your counsel and encouragement with their problems. Proud of how, no matter what any of your children were into at the moment, be it Manus Friedman or Jordan Peterson or Ayn Rand or Sam Harris, she put in the hours to explore the ideas that were speaking to us, and then she stayed up till 3 a.m. to challenge and argue with us until clarity was reached. I was so proud of your walls of books and your hammock in the kitchen, and of the fact that I had so many honorary siblings who wanted you to be their mother too. It was only once I got old enough to see with a house full of grandchildren that I knew that you were a rare gem among mothers, because you knew the soul of each one. You observed their strengths and weaknesses, and intuited thoughtful and creative ways to help them succeed. I thought that the hardest part of losing you would be that my kids were losing their other mother. But it turns out that that's not the hardest part. The hardest part is that I realize I'm not ready to be without my mom. I'm not ready for a world without you as my ongoing model of hospitality and industry and self-improvement and gracious relationship and incessant learning. You left us with the tremendous gift of faith. It was not a simple-minded, naive one. You've been disappointed by God many times in your life, and you confess that there were times when the tests that he put in front of you felt kind of mean. And yet those feelings were never a reason to leave off in your pursuit of a God-honoring life. You did the hard work of cultivating trust and optimism, even in the midst of your pain and disappointment. You were honest with us in sharing your personal struggles and victories. Your faith is all the more precious and astonishing and anchoring for me because it was refined in fire and it survived. Our hearts are broken, but we remember the soft words you spoke while we cried for broken hearts before. We're glad that you were willing to deliver them so patiently and consistently. We treasured them. We can still hear your voice whispering that we will get through it, that these wounds will be scars of what remind us of what we've gained through our pain, and that they'll give us compassion and wisdom in our relationship with others, and that there's a reason. We love you with all of our hearts, Mommy.
Dad, I'm amazed that you could keep it together without a printout. My dearest Mom, we were given about 10 months to prepare for the possibility of this day. In that time, there was a handful of moments that I thought might be the last significant chance I would have to talk with you. But when the stakes are that high, words of deep significance are really difficult to form. What I would give for just a few more of those times. I had no idea how deeply I would feel the loss and the desire to just sit with you and talk with you, to see your smile, to see the love and the sparkle in your eyes, to hear the next amazing insight into the Bible and into life that you had learned. The actual possibility of losing you was so beyond my comprehension because you were so full of life. I was still unable to wrap my mind around the new reality. But now, in this moment, I do have a few words that I want to tell you. I want you to know, Mom, that you were simply the best. You were the best mother. You were the best grandmother. You were the best homemaker, the best cook, the best teacher, the best counselor, the best encourager, the best confidant, the best healer, the best giver, the best at practically everything. If ever you doubted yourself, you should know now that it was without cause. You gave life to all, and you won the prize in every category. The one problem with being so perfect was that it took me a very long time to find a perfect spouse that could take over being the most significant woman in my life. But I 100% believe that it was in the merit of your prayers and your undertaking to memorize Psalm 119 that I was able to find the most wonderful wife a man could hope for. And I'm eternally grateful to you. While growing up, life was always exciting and meaningful with you around. You were filled with passion and life and joy. And while I do recall my last spanking, I do not recall ever hearing a harsh or impatient word. I don't know how you managed this. I also don't know how on our long multi-day, round-the-clock road warrior trips in the car that you managed to drive the night shift between 12 a.m. and 7 a.m. I guess you loved your quiet time and your chocolate chips. Mom, you were such a vibrant, radiant soul, and you gave me physical life and spiritual life. You were a soft hand when I was sick. You were my safe place and my happy place, my foundation, my inspiration, and my lighthouse. You always had a smile on your face and a kind word of encouragement that gave me perspective, peace, hope, meaning, confidence, and so much more. You were the most amazing grandma to my children. You played with them and inspired them to take on life, to live it to the fullest, and become the best people they could be. They adore you. And they will very deeply miss you. We will keep your memory alive in them. As a teacher, your motto was, learn to be a lifelong learner. And this is certainly a trait that you taught by example. You had a fixed time and place to study the Bible and pray. And one of my most vivid memories of you is coming down the stairs in the morning to see you in that place on the couch, reading and praying before anyone else was awake. You were always ready to share what you had been learning with an excitement and passion that was so contagious. You made the exploration of the Word of God and prayer to your Heavenly Father such a high priority in your life that it also became a value in my own life. Your lifelong exploration led you to a place of absolute faith and confidence in your Heavenly Father. Hashem is one. There is nothing else. Trust in Him. He holds everything in His hands. You were such a woman of strength and courage and valor for all the years of life that I knew you. In a rare moment in these last few weeks, you admitted to me that life was not turning out the way you had envisioned. And we all feel the same way. You had hoped to see more of the fruit of your labors, like the Proverbs 31 woman, whose own works praised her in the gates. Well, Mom, as you enter the gates of paradise, I wish you could look down at those gathered here in person and virtually, and witness those who in many various ways represent the works of your hands. You sowed seeds of unwavering faith in God, seeds of self-confidence, seeds of creativity, seeds of joy, seeds of love into so many hearts and minds. You left us too early. But I will trust in God who sustains the living with loving kindness, that He will one day revive the dead with great compassion. I can't wait to sit down with you in the world to come and get caught up on all the vast depths that you have discovered since our parting. Even so, come quickly, our Holy Master, Yeshua.
If you'll please look at your insert again for a group singing. Great is thy faithfulness.
Great is thy faithfulness, O God, my Father. There is no shadow of turning with thee. Thou changest faintest not, thy compassions, they fail not. As thou hast been, thou forever wilt be. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Summer and winter and springtime and harvest, sun, moon, and stars in their courses above, join with all nature in manifold witness to thy great faithfulness, mercy, and love. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Pardon for sin, and a peace that endureth, thine own dear presence to cheer and to guide, strength for today and bright hope for tomorrow. Blessings all mine with 10,000 beside. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me.
We are going to have a time of reflection for those of you in the congregation, if you will, family. If you want to come up and say something, the program I have says a short time, so it's hot. There are a few chairs up here. If somebody else needs a chair, we have chairs available. There's also water in coolers, so do not get dehydrated. If you want to come up and share a few words, now's your opportunity. But you can.
Thank you for all of you. All of you, we're all family, by the way. Is there anybody in here that's not family? No. You're all family. That's why you're here. And God is our Father. And I have to live on one phrase that comes out of the Bible constantly. The joy of the Lord is my strength. I'm getting old. Can you tell that? You can't tell. Can you tell that? You know, I remember the day I lost my husband, Sherry's father. We called him Jack, but his mother had to name him Ertl Hartley, because that's what his father wanted him to do after his father. And I thank God for a godly line and a man that was willing to lay down his life. And that's basically what Sherry has done for each of us. Anybody in here that doesn't believe that? Bye. I think that we're here because we have the joy of the Lord. That's what got us here. The tears make a rainbow. She's alive. I'm sorry. She's alive. She's more alive than any of us. And she's never going to feel a tiny bit of pain again. She's not going to get hungry or thirsty or hot or cold. And she is watching you and hoping and praying, asking God right to his face, make them all love you like I do. God bless you all for being here.
Thank you so much. There you go.
I'm Janet. I'm a sister-in-law.
Sister-in-law.
Sherry and I were texting a couple months ago. I asked her how she was doing. I'd sent her a psalm, and she said I was also in prayer when you texted. I went to the psalm as you shared, and I said, felt a gentle confirmation of the encouragement that I received from him this morning. Thank you for reaching out to me. We've been doing well, albeit with many challenges. I'm experiencing painful days, but I told Dale yesterday I felt a shift in a good way. I was energized and productive, which always feels good. I know I've already been healed, and I want to be the vessel that can bring it down to the world from the heavenlies. That is my constant thought and prayer. I am healed, I am at peace, and I am in love. And then she always asks, and what has God been doing in your life?
Wow. Somebody else?
I'm going to let you see my tear-stained face and my red-rimmed eyes. My first introduction to the Schoenwald family was way back at John Brown University when I was dating young Ken Schoenwald, and he introduced me to his Shosho, who came to speak at John Brown, and showed me pictures of his little nephew, tow-headed Jeremy, in the arms of these big African men, and his afroed brother, Dale, and I fell in love with Ken, and I fell in love with his family, and now I'm family. And I remember at the time of great loss in my life, when Sherry shared with me, she said, you know, Janelle, it's like childbirth. And of course she would use that analogy that we labor for a short time, and that labor works for us a far more exceeding eternal weight in glory. And I thought of Sherry's wise words many a time that helped encourage me, and it brings me comfort still today, because she labored, and her labor was not in vain, and she has a far more exceeding great weight in glory now. And I'm so thankful to be a part of all that.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Sure.
I just want to share the last time I saw her, the last thing she said to me. We were just about to leave back to New Orleans. That's where we live. And I had to go to the bathroom, so. And when I finished, I just thought to myself, well, I'm right here anyway, so let's go say one last goodbye to Grandma. That was about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And then when I went in, her eyes were closed, so I was about to go out, but then she opened her eyes, so I just kind of said goodbye, and she said goodbye, and I was just about to go out the door when she said that she knew I was going to be the best rider in the world. So just smiled and left. That was the last thing she said to me.
That's nice. Thank you. Thank you. Somebody else?
My parents couldn't be here today, but they wanted me to tell you how much they love you, how much they love you, Aunt Jerry, how much they love your family. My life, their lives, the lives of all of my siblings, especially the younger ones. I know for a fact they wouldn't even be here today if it weren't for you and Aunt Sherry and the impact that you had on our family. Thank you. And on behalf of the thousands of campers whose lives they may not even know are different because of this woman. Thank you, Aunt Sherry. Thank you, Uncle Dale. Thank you, Jeremy, Jesse, Julianne, Jamie. We love you.
Big waves. Big waves. Somebody else. Sure, come on.
Dale, I just wanted to speak to you. My parents sold their farm to Dale and Sherry. And we were over the moon to see that you were the ones living in that house that we called home for so many years. And to have come back and visited over the years and seen your grandchildren in those same bedrooms and see you and Sherry in the room mowing the grass until you weren't able to, and talking to Sherry about life. You know, she and I are very different people, but for Sherry, what I would say is it didn't matter who you were. It didn't matter what you believed. What it mattered was that you were another person. And she lived that. That's the only Sherry that I knew. So to the family, you know, I would just say, we mourn with you. We feel that loss, and it'll take some time.
Thank you. Well done. Well done. Anybody else?
I'm her nephew, and growing up, my parents we got to an age that my parents would go on trips and things. Aunt Sherry was the person they trusted their sons with, and it was one of those things we could live at their house, and yeah, she was definitely like a mom. She cared for everybody. She took care of everyone. As we got older, we would come down every year to Texas to see everyone during the Sukkot holiday. And I remember one time, I didn't know this at the time, but they'd had up on the mantle in their kitchen a list of names of single people that they were praying for, which I appreciated. In a height of irony, they had put the boys on one side and the girls on the other. My wife's name is Juliana. It so happened that she had put her Juliana across from me without realizing the symbolic nature of that. But I appreciate so much her love and her motherly instincts to people who are not her children. And being here again is so good, and at the same time it feels so wrong because we will miss her.
Thank you. Good job. Somebody else? Anybody else? Okay.
Thank you guys for sharing her with us. There's no words. I hurt so much watching you hurt. Seeing your faces, seeing the grief. There's no words to even begin to put an amount on what she gave, and we are all here. Mama. We are all here. The movie, we are here, we are here. We are here. We love you, and we're grateful. Thank you for sharing her with us. We will not forget. We will not forget, and we will do our best to take it forward. Excuse me. I got it. You guys give so much. You're so strong for everyone. Please do for yourselves. Please be gentle to yourselves. We love you. And we're here however we can be. I know there's not much we can do, but we're here.
Thank you. I got it. Somebody else? Sure.
So I'm Sonny. This is my mother-in-law. One of the things that she really taught me, and every time she did it, I always thought, how does she have the chutzpah to say that? And that she would challenge me. And the last time I saw it, I was witness to it. And she challenged my brother on something. And this was just a couple of weeks ago, and she's like roaring in pain. And she had the chutzpah to challenge my brother on something. But she always had a way to do it that was so loving. So I've learned that from her. And I'm a better person because of that.
The thing that's been stuck in my mind over the past few days, I haven't been able to get out of my head. It's those of you who know me, it's odd for me to say this, but the personification, Aunt Sherry was the personification of the saying, if you want Mashiach to treat everyone as if they're Mashiach. And there's no better way that I have to express how I feel, who she was for so many people. But she's here amongst all of us here, and she'll never be gone. Never be gone.
Thank you. Tell them to give their names before they start talking.
Okay. If you come up here, give your name before you start talking. Now everybody's intimidated. They don't want us to know who they are. Anybody else? Let me ramble just a little bit and give you one more chance. Thank you for all who shared. I know all of us love Sherry. We love Dale. Please continue to keep the entire family in your prayers over these next few days. If nobody else is going to come forth, our next order is the Eshet Chayil, and I'm not sure who's leading that. So... Okay. You want to take that? Okay.
I'll just stand here. This is Proverbs 31, and it's the tradition that we do each week on Friday night, and I don't know if we have this in here, but you're all invited to come out to the farm as well after. I can't remember where we said we were going to say that, so I'm just going to say it now. Okay, and the tune is very repetitive if you don't know it, so you'll know it by the end because it's very repetitive. And there's one verse that there's absolutely no way that you can fit all the syllables in. This song is normally done in Hebrew, but I don't know it in Hebrew. And I want to sing it with understanding. So if you could fill in the gaps that I'm not going to be able to sing. And the other thing is, in the words it says, who can find a capable woman? I usually sometimes I'd sing it that way. Most of the time I would say, who can find a valorous woman? The woman of valor. So we'll sing it that way. Who can find, wait. Who can find a virtuous woman? Her value is far greater than pearls. Her husband's heart trusts her, and he never lacks benefit. She shows him kindness and not harm all the days of her life. Searching for wool and linen, she works with willing hands. Like a fleet of merchant ships, she brings food from far away. Arising while it is still nighttime, she gives food to her household and her maids their share. Considering a field, she buys it and plants a vineyard with the fruit of her hands. Girding herself with might, she strengthens her arms. As she discerns that her business is good, her lamp does not go out at night. Extending her hand to the distaff, her palms support the spinning rod. Spreading her palms to the poor, she extends her hand to the destitute. She does not fear for her household when snow comes, since her whole household is clothed with crimson. She has made her own bedspreads, and she is clothed in linen and purple. Her husband is renowned at the gates, sitting among the elders of the land. She makes a cloak and sells it, offering a sash to the merchant. Arrayed in strength and splendor, she cheerfully awaits the final day. Wise words go forth from her mouth, and her tongue teaches devotion, overseeing the activities of her household. She does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children arise and gladden her. Wait. Ashreima. Her husband also, who praises her. Many women have their accomplishments, but you have risen above them all. Grace deceives and beauty vanishes. A woman who fears the Lord, she should be praised. Let her have the fruit of her hands, and may her own works commend her in the gates. Thank you. Thank you for joining me.
We now have a prayer, first in English, El Mein Rachamim. I'll do it in English, and then we have, I think, a recording of it in Hebrew so that you'll know what is being said. O God, full of compassion, who dwells on high, grant true rest upon the wings of the Shekinah, the divine presence, in the exalted spheres of the holy and pure, who shines as the resplendence of the firmament, to the soul of Sherry, daughter of Jack, who's gone to her supernal world for charity, has been donated in remembrance of her soul. May her place of rest be in Gan Eden. Therefore, may the all-merciful one shelter her with the cover of his wings forever, and bind her soul in the bond of life. The Lord is her heritage. May she rest in his resting place in peace. And let us say, Amen.
With all our thoughts and prayers for your mom, may her soul continue to rise. El Malei Rachamim, שוכן במרומים, המצא מנוחה נכונה על כנפי השכינה, במעלות קדושים וטהורים כזוהר הקיאה מתירים את נשמת שרי, לין, Spurlock, Schoenwald, שהלכה לעולמה. בעבור שאנחנו מתפללים בעד הזכרת נשמתה, בגן עדן תהי מנוחתה. לכן בעל הרחמים יסתיריה בסתר כנפיו לעולמים, ויצרו בצרוח חיים את נשמתה. אדוני הוא נחלתה, ותנוח בשלום המשכבה, ונאמר